Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Defining Wellness Confab. You know, if you've been following along, you know that I'm introducing you to the people that I know that are health and wellness experts in the industry. And what we're doing is we're building a library on YouTube, a resource for you to go to for health and wellness topics. And we're doing them in short little spurts so that you aren't having to sit there and listen to an hour-long presentation. We're doing them in about 20 minutes, and we're having a lot of fun doing this. Today, we get to kick off today's series with someone who has such a passion for nutrition and helping you heal with starting with the gut. And so it is my pleasure to introduce you to Zita Easton with Gracefield Nutrition. Zita, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Denise, for inviting me.
You're welcome, and you can take it from here.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
We're just sharing the screen.
Yes.
If you're watching this, we're just sharing the screen.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining me. If you could just hold your questions until the end of the presentation. So I educate and help my clients to take control of their own health. I customize protocols to suit the individual needs of each of my clients. So when it comes to health, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Before I talk about microbiome, I want to share briefly my health journey in hopes that some of you may be able to connect to that, to the health journey and relate. So I have recovered from the effects of multiple autoimmune conditions. It was back in 2012 that I received my first diagnosis of a rare disorder and told it would take my health. And in my hearing, I had a plethora of symptoms similar to that of MS, some of which were poor memory, focus, fatigue, that made it so difficult to leave the bed for days. Extreme anxiety, tinnitus, hearing loss, neuropathy, the list is endless. And my biggest fear at the time was the memory loss, as it became memory loss and word retrieval. Word retrieval became really challenging. It felt like I had the early onset of Alzheimer's. So I began medications and testing. The tests proved to be inconclusive, and the side effects of the medications made me feel worse. I saw 12 doctors in a year and eventually was told to begin a regimen of immune-suppressing drugs to treat cancer. It was then that I chose to take charge of my health and research alternative methods and holistic treatments instead. As I reflect on the journey, I wish that I and the doctors treating me had some knowledge of the microbiome and its effects on disease. It would have saved me thousands of dollars in treatments. So after many years of seeking help, I have recovered, and it is my hope to be able to empower others through education and the latest technology that optimizes circulation and helps the body to heal itself. Okay. There's something wrong with my... Okay. Just have a little glitch with my PowerPoint. There we go. Gift of recovery. Well, these are irises, and irises symbolize hope. And this is the reason why I've put this up on the screen. These are the 2019 statistics, some of them from the National Institute of Mental Health. And if you read the bottom paragraph, an estimated 31% of US adults experience any anxiety disorder at some time in their lives. So the question to ask oneself is, what could the underlying cause be? Possible answers, not all, can be found in the microbiome or environmental influences. I'm going to bring in the effects of poor sleep at this stage, as I'll be touching on poor sleep throughout the presentation. So if the effects of poor sleep decreases our immunity and makes us susceptible to common illnesses, it impacts our mood, memory loss, irritability, and increased anxiety. It does take its toll on our cognitive abilities. It affects our perception, decision-making, and good judgment. And clearly, it impacts our work performance and productivity. So how is all of this related to the microbiome? What we put into our bodies affect the microbiome, which in turn affects our brain and the rest of our body. If you are under chronic stress, consume excess sugar, are sleep deprived, this causes an increase in bad bacteria and thus increasing inflammation. So an inflamed gut makes you susceptible to illness, but also decreases the healthy bacteria that make serotonin or GABA. So I've been talking about the symptoms of an imbalance in the microbiome. So what is the microbiome? 90% of the cells in your body are non-human. The microbiome are trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi living in a community in and on our body. We have a microbiome on the surface of our skin. It's not just in our gut. It is termed the second brain, and you may be asking why. There are nerve endings in the gut lining from our nose to our anus. The vagus nerve stems from our brain stem right down our spine. It is the main connector of our gut and our brain and other organs. So the microbiome communicate with each other, exchanging messages, chemicals, neurotransmitters, and hormones through an extensive network termed the gut-brain axis. It communicates with the brain to regulate your health, mood, weight, your circadian rhythms, sleep cycles, and digestion. This is the reason why it's termed the second brain. So if there's any inflammation in your gut, there is clearly inflammation in your brain. What can affect the state of our microbiome to be either healthy or unhealthy? Epigenetics. And epigenetics is a broad term that means environmental triggers influencing our health, either positively or negatively. 90%, around 90% of our health is dependent upon epigenetic influences. I will just name two: our genetic predispositions and environmental triggers. Some of us do have genetic predispositions to certain diseases that does require medication. Cystic fibrosis is one of them that does require medical intervention. Then environmental triggers. If it is physiological, such as microbial infections, food allergies, or heavy metal toxicity, it can be. And then also emotional and psychological triggers. Some examples: stress, trauma, or living in isolation and loneliness. Did you know that loneliness can cause the same amount of stress to your body as smoking 16 cigarettes a day? Then electromagnetic fields and technology. This can be a little controversial as our Earth does emit electromagnetic fields. However, what I'm referring to here is what the research is pointing to, excessive electromagnetic field or excessive use of technology and the impact on the brain. We now have shorter attention spans. We are more distracted. We are more forgetful and more isolated. So if technology is affecting our brain this way, then how is it affecting the microbiome? Because what affects the brain affects the microbiome and vice versa. This all causes intestinal permeability. Your epithelial lining reproduces every 3 to 7 days. If it is damaged by epigenetic factors, which, as you can see on this diagram, proteins, microbes, chemical particles enter into the junctions between the cells, and they burrow and cause a hole or a leak and enter into the bloodstream where they should not be in the first place. And then they circulate systemically throughout the body, causing inflammation. So instead of your gut being a source of nourishment, it becomes a source of toxicity. So how can you protect your gut lining and reduce inflammation, pardon me? Firstly, through lifestyle changes. If the cause is emotional, meditation, prayer, exercise, deep, slow breathing not only releases endorphins that improve mood, but also help your body to move into a relaxed state. When your body is in a relaxed state, food is digested and absorbed efficiently. Your brain is calmer and is able to handle stress more effectively. Then as humans, we need the emotional support from social interactions. So being part of a community, either volunteering or spending time with loved ones, improves our mental health. Then to help with sleep, I would suggest remove technology from your bedroom or wherever you sleep. Start using technology at least an hour before you go to sleep. Instead, listen to calming music, read an inspirational book, practice slow breathing, or just get up and do some stretching exercises. Then physiological. Work on removing the offenders. And these are these could be microbial infections, heavy metal toxicity, or even food intolerances. Work with a knowledgeable, and I really encourage this, work with a knowledgeable practitioner on how you can eliminate and reduce inflammation. Now, before I move on to recommendations or suggestions of using supplements, just a quick reminder that we are bio-individual. So the suggestions that I'm making helps most individuals. However, there are many of us which are very, very sensitive to chemicals. And I do recommend working with a knowledgeable practitioner to customize a plan for your need. And then also the products. Should you be purchasing any supplements, be sure for them to be clean, non-GMO, gluten, dairy, and soy-free. The fewer additives and binders, the better. And be sure to know where the companies have sourced the ingredients from. For example, you could be taking a supplement which is supposed to help you, but your body may be reacting to the binders or the fillers instead. So I always start with food first, a low inflammation diet. Begin with, strive to drink half your body weight in ounces of filtered water. And the filtered water helps to flush toxins and improve circulation. Then choose foods which are organic, non-GMO, grass-finished, grass-fed, wild-caught, preferably. And then if you are on a budget and you're purchasing produce and vegetables and fruit, then look up the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list. You can Google that. And foods on the Dirty Dozen list are foods that should be only consumed organic because of the high pesticide levels. Clean 15 are safer to purchase if non-organic. Then a balance of healthy proteins, fats, and vegetables. Sometimes, depending on the condition of my client, I take it a step further and suggest no grain, legumes, nuts, eggs, and seeds. And then I start for a period of time, and then we start with an incorporation and a diet just to reintroduce foods. And then to improve sleep, I suggest eating dinner 3 hours before bed. Your body will have been able to digest most of your dinner and prepare for the rest and repair mode, which is essential during sleep. And then it goes without saying, avoid processed foods which cause inflammation. They contain additives. GMOs are sprayed with pesticides like glyphosate, which acts as an antibiotic in your gut. Antibiotics kill good and bad bacteria, and some of the healthy bacteria never return. With poor gut diversity, our immune system will become compromised and predispose us to illness. Now, gut healing support. Firstly, bone broth. Bone broth has L-glutamine and multiple amino acids in a natural form. And then if you're choosing supplements, L-glutamine and zinc carnosine. And these are just some of the supplements out there which help to reduce inflammation. Quercetin, curcumin, and aloe vera. Then if you're going the prebiotic route, I would include multiple sources of probiotics, as diversity is key to create a healthy and robust gut microbiome. If you're taking multi-strain probiotics, then be sure to take prebiotics, because prebiotics are essential to feed those healthy probiotics. And they contain fibers and carbohydrates to provide a fuel source for the growth of those beneficial bacteria, the probiotics. And I have some which are listed on the screen. One of the companies that I do use in my practice focuses specifically on the gut-brain axis. And these are the 3 probiotic strains that they use. And they have been shown to improve mood, increase serotonin, reduce anxiety, reduce stress, by lowering cortisol and increasing GABA to be shuttled into the brain. And then lastly, fermented foods. If your body's able to tolerate fermented foods, then by all means include that into your protocol. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi, kombucha, sauerkraut, miso, and tempeh. As I end this presentation, it is my hope that you have the courage to make the changes to improve your health and not to just keep them in check. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I welcome any questions.
Great information, Zita. Holy cow, there's an awful lot in there, and I appreciate it. You delivered it in a concise way that we were able to flow through it, and thank you very much for doing that. I have one question that cropped up in my mind where you were mentioning bone broth.
Yes.
I had somebody recently, I have bone broth that, every holiday I save the bones and I create a big pot of bone broth and I save them in ice cubes in the freezer for later use. And I will add them to things that I may be cooking. I had somebody tell me not turkey. Do you have an opinion about bone broth? Does it have to be a certain type of bone broth?
I have not, to my knowledge. I don't know why not turkey.
I don't know either.
I don't know. The way to the way to prepare bone broth, it really is dependent if you have, well, first of all, with some certain segments of the population, they are unable to tolerate high levels of L-glutamine. Mm-hmm. It can be an excitotoxin to people, particularly who are on the spectrum. And so then, because in the brain, there tends to be an imbalance between the GABA and glutamate. So when preparing bone broth, this is not really answering your question, but when preparing bone broth, to reduce the levels of the L-glutamine, you can prepare it in a pressure cooker for a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. Then otherwise just, you prepare in a crock pot for about 24 hours to 48 hours. But
Good
to
idea.
answer, but to be specific, I have not, to my knowledge, heard of
Yeah.
the reason why not.
Well, I'm glad to hear that I'm continuing with my turkey bone broth because it's a good way to finish up the holidays. And it when you're not feeling good, it's a great soup to be sipping on. And it's amazing the difference that I feel with it. So, I mean, that's just one aspect. When I'm talking to the audience now, that's just one aspect of how Zita can work with you is when, she has this great information, but she can also get into the specifics on the different foods and how to prepare them and do what's right for you and for your body. And that's amazing. So how do you work with people? Is it in person? Is it by phone? Is it by Zoom? How do you work with people?
In person, by Zoom, and by phone.
Okay. So all of that. So you can work with anyone, anywhere in the world, basically.
Yes,
And,
I can.
that's a terrific thing. And, for the audience, one of the things I also want to say is that I love it when I'm hearing a health and wellness professional talk about their own journey and that the reason why they are doing what they're doing and why they're passionate about what they're doing is because they've walked that walk. And either for themselves or a member of their family, they've had to go find the answers for themselves. So when you're, the whole theme of this confab is becoming the director of your own healthcare. So when you're stepping into a role, it's like, you know what? I got to go find my own answers. Man, there are experts out there who've already done it for you. And one of the reasons why we have these videos is that you can meet some of those experts. And if you connect with them and you can resonate with the amount of information that they have, their knowledge, and see their knowledge, pick the phone and give them a call. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you Zita's phone number and her website address so that you can actually contact her directly. But that is a segue right now for me to move into, let me stop your screen sharing and start my screen sharing. So this is a segue into a little bit about Udefine Wellness because Zita is one of the providers in the Udefine Wellness Network who was putting on this Defining Wellness Confab. And a lot of people don't know who we are, even though we've been around since 2016. We're really getting traction right now. We've been building our provider network. And what that should mean to you is that we have an online resource for you, health and wellness professionals, hundreds of them, that have gone through our vetting process. And that's really unusual for an online directory to vet the providers. When I say vet them, we're doing a criminal background investigation. We're looking at their licenses, and if they have a particular regulatory authority over them, we're looking to see if there's any disciplinary actions or stipulations. We're checking their online reputation, and while it's not the end-all, be-all, and that you need to do your own due diligence, you can feel comfortable knowing that people who are in our network have been looked at already. And with this network of health and wellness professionals, we're able to do some things like create an employee benefit program for the workplace so that you can access people like Zita as an employee benefit program. We also have an education catalog. So if you need a speaker for a lunch and learn, and we have speakers who can talk worldwide using technology. But if you need a speaker for a lunch and learn at the workplace, or maybe a community group, or even a school, we have the people who can you can resource. And so go to our website. It's a free downloadable document that has all of our classes in it, and there's dozens in there. There's more being added all the time. And then for individuals, we also have a product. It's a discount card. It's a savings card. So when you have this card, you present it to any of the providers in our network who accept the Healthy Living Savings Card, and you're going to receive some really nice discounts on products and services. It's a one-time fee until August 1st of $49.50. It's half price. You can share this card with your friends, your family, your next-door neighbors. It doesn't matter. Whoever's presenting it can utilize it, and it's all for a one-time fee. And just go to our website at udefinewellness.com and check out all the things that we're doing. Stop by the provider directory. And while you're there, go look at what we're doing for the Holistic Healing Workplace Crisis Support Team. Our network providers want to do more for the community, particularly in times of crisis. We're in Colorado, and we have certainly hit the news a number of times with mass shootings. And when that hits the workplace and the community as well, but let's talk about the workplace. The employers are told to bring in the counselors and the psychotherapists for their staff. And while that's good, it's not enough, because emotional trauma and physical trauma, if left untreated, will settle in the body, and it will creep up days, weeks, months, and years later. And so we have a team of people who can come in, ranging from the counselors and the psychotherapists, and to biofeedback, energy healers, massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, you name it, we probably have it. And we are forming as a nonprofit. We're spinning it off into its own nonprofit. But in order to do so, we need to raise some capital to fund the nonprofit organization. So if you're so inclined, I encourage you to go to paypal.me/udefinewellness and make a contribution of any amount of your choice. We want to be able to deliver these services for free in the community. We cannot do it without setting up this nonprofit. And the last thing that I'm going to share with you is Zita's contact information. So I have her phone number on here. I have her website on here. Go over, contact her. If any of this has resonated with you, if you're having some problems and you can't really identify what it is, it may be your diet. Maybe what's going on in your gut. And she's a very good person for you to talk to with all of that. So with that being said, Zita, thank you very much for doing this with me today. Every time I listen to you, I'm just impressed more and more and more with your knowledge and the caring that you bring to working with your clients. And thank you very much for being part of this.
You bet. Thank you, Denise.
And for those of you watching this on YouTube or wherever it is you found this link, we encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel. Just search for You Define Wellness in the search bar at YouTube. You will find our channel. We have these 49 sessions that we're uploading. We're getting them up there as fast as we possibly can. But we have a whole bunch of other content on there that we've been collecting and producing for over 2 years now. Interviews with health and wellness professionals, to talking about health insurance. It's me talking in front of a camera about what's really going on with the health insurance world. So go over to our YouTube channel. But most of all, thank you for watching this video.